This video is made possible by our loyal Patreon supporters. Visit patreon.com/psychetruth.
Hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a massage to help relieve knee pain. I'll be working on the lovely Gabriella. Let's go ahead and get started. If you don't have time to watch this video right now, go ahead and save to your watch later and just watch whenever you get a chance. So my plan today is I'm going to be working a lot on these different quadricep muscles, and I'm going to start just with some more gentle compressions. So knee pain can be the result of stuff going on in the quadricep muscles or the hips, and hopefully it's not in the joint itself. But working on the quads is always a really good place to start. Trying to take pressure off of the inner and outer knee. And just getting hold of that vastus medialis. And just trying to grab hold of that muscle belly. That it feels really therapeutic and not too pinchy. I like to grab hold a little bit firmer just above the knee, but anytime that I'm working on the knee itself, I'm just pretty gentle. Just to err on the side of caution. I don't want to hurt any of those ligaments or tendons. But I also don't want to ignore the knee. You can do IT band work with your thumbs or a soft fist, which is honestly probably a better use of energy. So I'm gonna go ahead and it can honestly just feel pretty soothing if you grab hold of the knee when you're doing this kind of work, especially if there's a lot of pain. This is a little bit of an awkward angle, in my opinion, to work on the IT band. Like working on this tendon with my clients face down a little more, or even on their side, but you can still get some good work done in here. And just helping Gabriella to have greater body awareness of how all these different areas can affect the knee. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my oil. Yeah, my plan today is just not to do anything too deep, but to have kind of a firmer approach. You kind of have to with these quadricep muscles. And this is my favorite effleurage technique to use, just to apply the oil and do some more soft tissue type work. Just walking the hands. Making sure that I'm working from an angle that feels comfortable for me, where I have plenty of space. If I'm crowding Gabriella, it's going to be hard to have longer, more effortless effleurage strokes. And just kind of doing a scan of these different muscles and seeing where the higher areas of tension are. I like to do that with my finger pads just because you have so much sensitivity. And I'm just going to land on this set of quadricep muscles, just working my way up. And definitely don't take for granted how uncomfortable this can be if there's pain in the knee. These quadricep muscles tend to carry a lot of tension no matter what. If they're the root of it or they're just trying to help take care of the knees. Usually start on this outer quad muscle and work my way in. Most of the time, if there's knee pain, the culprit, if it's in the quads, is that medialis. But I like to definitely work on this outer quad muscle too, because it can get so tight just with all the things that it has to do for us. And just slower strokes upwards. Technically, this is a effleurage stroke, but I'm just using it in a more therapeutic way. Just slowing it way down and offering a good bit of pressure. Keeping my hand on this knee just as, a way to comfort my client a little bit as things begin to feel a little more uncomfortable. And as I start to work into that inner quad muscle a little more, I'm actually going to change my technique up a little bit. And I'm going to start doing some petrissage, just really kneading my way into that muscle from different directions, encouraging it to stretch and open. You can bring this effleurage stroke around into the knee, just being really gentle can feel really soothing. But as I land on that muscle area, I just offer a little bit more pressure. And I might even just pause for a second or two, really getting into that muscle belly. You can also, if you want to just squeeze and lift, there's different ways that you can apply this technique, just depending on what you're finding. And just bringing that petrissage stroke into this middle and outer quad muscle. I feel like I've ignored this middle quad muscle a little bit, so I'm actually just going to use my forearm and work my way up. Getting into that outer quad as well. And I am going to just work my way into that IT band, making sure that that area isn't ignored. And making sure that I have plenty of space in between me and my client so that I don't feel crowded and that Gabriella doesn't feel crowded. And this next technique, you definitely want to make sure that your client's comfortable with. So sometimes pain in the knee can show up because of tension in this inner thigh area, even the hip. So working on this vastus medialis a little more and the adductors can really help relieve tension on that hip and the knee. Need a little bit more oil. And this area tends to be really sensitive, so you want to just keep that in mind as you work. It can be kind of difficult to get the angle that you need to do longer effleurage strokes along that inner quad muscle. So this is a really nice angle to be able to work. And sometimes if my client's hip is really tight or they're in pain, I'll just put a blanket or something, a pillow underneath the knee, so that's a little more supported. And just always making sure that my wrist is at a healthy angle, more or less. So working like this is not good for the wrist. Sometimes I'll do it. And I'm going to start to work my way into the adductors. And this can start to feel really uncomfortable. So just keep that in mind. And I always check in with my client to make sure that they're comfortable with this kind of work, because it is a little different and not something everyone's used to. So I try to, with the soft fist, I try to keep it like my hand nice and relaxed, so it's not like super tense, because that's going to create a harder tool. So keeping this nice and pliable as I work. And something that really helps me is I actually keep my fingers on the outside of my hand instead of putting them under and creating a full fist. So if you're starting to pick up on trigger points in here, this is a really good place to do some deeper work, some more detailed work. Make sure that there's no pain in your client's hip or knee, like greater pain in their knee, I guess, at this point in this position before you attempt this, because it can be really uncomfortable. So just paired thumbs, and I like to just have that added movement as a distraction technique. And this can help the knee tremendously if the tension is in the muscles kind of pulling on the knee. And keep in mind that this can be really uncomfortable, so a little of this will go a long way. I'm going to do one more pass up this adductor. And just doing something a little more soothing to finish. Landing on that inner quad muscle, invaluable. And whenever I do detailed work like that, that's really uncomfortable, I like to do some really broad effleurage strokes, just because it feels really good. It's a nice way to wrap things up and cool things down. And the only kind of problem sometimes is you don't have a whole lot of oil, so your effleurage strokes can feel a little choppy. That's okay. And that is all for today. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's video, you should go to our Patreon page where you'll find some really great exclusive content as well. I look forward to seeing you there.